Do you track your monthly savings rate? This is something that we started doing a year ago. So in July of 2021, we started to track our savings rate every single month. And it can be very eye-opening to see how much of your money is actually going towards your goals. You could also use this same concept towards paying down your debt. It can also be very motivating for you to be able to see that number on a month-to-month basis and see, if you're trending up or if you're trending down. So I want to go through how we calculate that number. So what we do is in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, we have different columns for the different types of categories that we put the money into, and then each row will be a new month. So different types of accounts that we have, my husband and I each have our employer sponsored retirement account. So the money that we count that goes into that is the money that comes out of our paychecks that is pre-tax. So this is where it can be a little bit deceptive because we're calculating a savings rate, but it's kind of money that we never really had because it was pre-tax and before we even get our paycheck kind of thing. But that is money that is going towards our goals and saving for our future, so that's why it is counted. So this percentage that I'm going to talk about is not a percentage of your take-home pay, if that makes sense. So my 403B, my husband's 401k, and then some of these are things that we might not necessarily contribute to every month. So for example, my Roth IRA, now that is going to be post-tax money, so that would be money coming out of the paycheck that I do receive. So that is something that I try to fund earlier in the year. So for 2022, we have already maxed that out. So that was part of January through June's numbers, but now in July, it will be a 0 in that column. Another one that we do is Fundrise, which is a real estate investing platform, and that is not something that we contribute to on a regular basis. In fact, I've only made 2 contributions to that account total, but that would be included in a month where I do make that contribution. The other one is our mortgage principal. So this one we break out and we only count money that we put towards the principal, since that is money that is going towards equity in our home and being able to pay that off. So you have to break out and looking at your statement or your website and only count the principal. The other ones are a couple of different savings accounts that we have, different sinking funds. So in other videos I've talked about, we have an insurance sinking fund where we save up money throughout the year. Every single month we make a contribution to this account that we then use to pay for life insurance and auto insurance. Our homeowners is part of our escrow. But we can also use that account for license plate renewals or things like that. We have another one that we have for home and auto, so saving for future auto replacements and home renovations or repairs. The other one is kind of more of a general sinking fund. I've created some newer sinking funds in the last month or so, so that one I kind of just am lumping them together. And then the last one is a newer savings account that I have started with a very aggressive goal of trying to save $20,000 in that account by June 1st, 2023. So those are the various columns of different categories of money that we put money into for savings. So what we do is we're going to sum up all of those different amounts for each month that we put the money into those, and then divide that by our income for that month to calculate that savings rate. So it does vary from month to month. Our paychecks are typically the same amount unless we have a raise or something like that. Then the income would slightly change. I also do get like quarterly reimbursements for cell phone and occasionally reimbursements on mileage and things like that. But for the most part, our income is very consistent. So it's other things like if we sell something or tax returns, things like that, when those incomes would vary. So like I mentioned, we started tracking this 1 year ago. So as we're going to be wrapping up July here in the next few days, it will have been an official 1 year that we have been tracking this savings rate on a month-to-month basis. So when I calculated, I do like a rolling summary. So for 2021, we only had 6 months that we tracked, but our average savings rate on a monthly basis was 41%. So again, just reinforcing that's not 41% of our take-home pay, because it does include the pre-tax money that goes into our retirement accounts from our employer. So just want to make sure that that's very clear how this is calculated. So for 2022 year to date, even though July is not technically over yet, I don't really anticipate that number really changing, but year to date, we're averaging a 43% savings rate. So every month it does tend to vary a little bit. So for example, January was a really high savings rate that month because I don't know, we just put a lot towards the goals. I think one of them was that Fundrise. That was one of my yearly goals, was to establish a Fundrise account and invest in real estate. So I put $1,000 towards that. So things like that made that a higher savings rate month. Where on the flip side, March was a lower savings rate month because we had a higher income that month due to a student loan refund, a refund from our escrow account, our tax return, and my husband had gotten a raise that month. So when you have more income and we didn't put that all towards different goals, it made for a lower savings rate. However, we still, like I mentioned, are averaging 43% for the year so far. And actually for this July, we're currently at 34% for this month. So that's actually a little bit lower. And again, because we received some reimbursement money. However, I was kind of carrying that over. So that might actually end up reflecting in the August numbers. So if we use some of that towards these different financial goals. So I kind of wanted to just talk through this process. I'll give a little bit of a screenshot of just how we kind of calculate this. But I want to encourage you to do something similar just to be able to track it, especially if you have some savings goals that you're working for, if you want to be part of the financial independence, retire early, or just want to make sure that you are on track towards different types of goals. This can be a very helpful visual to make sure that you are on track, and it is something that I do look forward to calculating every single month on top of our net worth and things like that I also calculate on a monthly basis. But this one is really helpful. It can kind of just see, and it really shows how much money you are putting towards those different goals, because it will also then calculate each column for you. So it can tell you, okay, well, so far this year I've put X amount towards mortgage principal, or towards, that insurance sinking fund, something like that. So it can be very eye-opening and kind of on a larger scale, especially after this year when we'll have a full calendar year that we'll be able to say, okay, it shows my income for the year was X and our total savings rate, or in dollars of how much we put towards those different savings was, X amount. And out of all of that, then, calculate that 43% or whatever it will be at the end of the year, just to show how much we put towards those different savings goals. So I know a lot of the financial experts, recommend, varying amounts, like 20% towards your retirement, things like that. So while we are, saving 43%, it's not all going towards retirement accounts. We do have it varied into different ways. And I don't think I've created a video on it yet, but technically we are like coast fire, meaning we have enough in retirement accounts that we would be fine if we didn't even contribute to them anymore. We would have enough money in retirement to not have to worry. So for that reason, we haven't been super aggressive in putting money into those retirement accounts. We do contribute up to our employer match to make sure that we're not losing out on free money. But we also started the Roth IRA kind of to supplement, and then are just focusing on some different financial goals. So I hope you found that helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments below if you do something similar or if you plan to after watching this video. It can just be very motivating and help keep you on track towards your financial goals. So hope you found it helpful, and have a good day.